The DF54, it has been such a popular grinder that everyone's loving at home, but there are key things like blocking, jamming, and some issues that you might be encountering. It's okay, I've got you covered. So stick with me and I'll show you how to pull your DF54 apart, how to get rid of any static and make sure it is working perfect for you. So there's no doubt the DF range of grinders, and particularly the 54, have taken hold in the Australian coffee market. I mean, we've sold hundreds of these over the last year, and they've been just a great grinder. And if it's a grinder that you're considering, I would still say look at it, have a go and see if it's the right one for you, but just consider what I'm talking about in this video. If you don't use a single dose grinder properly, or mainly the DF54 properly, you're going to get yourself in a little bit of trouble. And in this video, I want to make sure that you can get yourself out of trouble. So we're going to pull it apart after it's been blocked and just show you what the issue is. You're going to need yourself a cloth so we lay it down, we don't damage your grinder. In the box it does give you this little Allen key, so you'll need that one. You've got your little cleaning brush, which is designed to go up the chute, and you'll need a Phillips head screwdriver. So that's all you'll need. Oh, and need a vacuum. And no doubt you might have just got this grinder brand new out of the box and it blocked, and this is why. So bear with me. I get it, it feels really frustrating right now, but there is a solution and you just need to know how to use it. So the first thing we're going to cover is how to actually use the grinder, which is called hot starting. You have to make sure that the grinder is running on full speed before you pop your beans in. So basically you want full revs of that motor so that when the beans go in and they have some resistance, that it's not going to slow that motor all the way down. If you put the beans in first and you turn it on, there's resistance on that motor and it basically has to try and get up to speed, but it's a variable speed. And basically what's happening is the grind is going past the outer burrs. It's trying to make its way through some clump crushers, which we're going to dive in and pull that apart in a minute. And it's going to then come out the chute. But if it's going slow to start with, then faster in the speed as the resistance of those beans deteriorates, basically the fast grind hits the slow grind and it blocks up. Okay, so you're blocked up. There's no grind coming out of here and the motor's maybe making a bit of a whirring noise. Now, a lot of people can get in and access the top of the grinder and vacuum it out, and then they will still find it blocking up again. And they've probably grabbed this and jammed it all the way up. I want to urge you, don't do that, because what you're going to do is you're going to hit the anti-clumping device, which is up inside the grinder. You're most likely going to bend it and just cause that problem to continue no matter what you do, unless you pull it apart, which we're about to do. So the first thing is, let's take off our bellows and our timber. We're going to pull out our little anti-popcorning device, and that basically stops the beans bouncing back up and going everywhere, so a bit of a consistency in your grind, which is great. And before you go any further, make sure you unplug it and turn it off. Don't go pulling it apart while it's still plugged in. Now there's two ways that you can go from here. You can actually undo this front little identifier, which is the mark which tells you where you're at in the position of your grind. You can take that off with your Allen key if you like, and that means that this collar will lift off by itself, and then you're going to have this chute essentially and the top burr set be separated. For me, I've done this quite a few times, but basically all I'm going to do is I'm going to keep going as coarse as I possibly can. Okay, just keep going all the way around and you'll see this lift off. Now they're lifting off together. So if you don't want them to come off together, just use your Allen key, remove the marker, and these two pieces will separate nice and simply. So take that aside and pop it out the way. We're going to lay out our cloth here. And you can see that there is already grind built up in here. Now the blockage essentially is going to be down in here. And if you look closely, that's actually a thin little film of plastic. Now there is a new model that does have stainless steel as well. So depending on how old your machine is, you'll either have two plastics or one metal and one plastic sort of film. And I'll explain that a little bit further. But basically you can't push on that. You can't poke through, because if you break that and bend it, you're going to cause continual blockages. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to vacuum all of that grind out. Now, if it's really, really blocked, you will find that the grind has basically turned to maybe an oil. And that's happening if you're continuing to keep that motor running when it's super, super fine. So once you know it's blocked and nothing's coming out the front, just stop, and I urge you to start cleaning straight away. If you've got any buildup in between these little paddles, essentially, which push the grind down the side, you're best just to get a flathead screwdriver or something just to break it up, just so you can give that an extra little vacuum. So I've kept these two pieces together. Make sure you give those a bit of a vacuum up as well, just so it's all clean when you pop it back in together. So now it's time to grab your screwdriver and we're going to lay the grinder down. Now pop it on the side, and there's a screw here on the front which I want you to undo, and put this one aside. We're going to have 3 different screws, and I don't want you to get them mixed up when we're trying to put this back together. So we're going to just undo that, take it all the way out. Get a little pot so you can pop all your screws in. The screw that goes on out here is the flat side, and it's a countersunk, so that one is by itself. We're then going to put the grinder back upright and grab our Allen key. And there's 2 little holes on the front here, which we're going to undo a grub screw. And these basically go in and hold this front chute in place. So take these all the way out. That's one. And the second one, they are pretty tiny, so don't lose those ones. And I'm going to put the grinder back on its side. We'll now be able to remove this front chute. It's simple, just by pulling it straight out. And there we go. We can pop that out the way. And now we're left with the actual chute of the grinder. And you'll see there's a couple of wires that go on the top. So we don't want to be busting or breaking these ones up when we're going a little bit deeper. But carefully, what we want to do is get our Phillips head, and there's 2 screws here which we're going to undo, and essentially this spout is going to remove straight out. If you're not really a person that loves using tools, but this is your first go, I just recommend taking your time here a little bit, and we're going to remove these 2 screws. We don't need to take them all the way out because they can actually stay attached to the plate of this chute. It makes it a little bit easier leaving it in there. And if you happen to drop them in, okay, you need to fish them out by turning them upside down. These screws aren't stainless steel, so they're not magnetic, so don't think they're going to hang on to the end of your screwdriver. But if you pop it upside down, if you did make an issue, essentially it's only going to drop down rather than in the motor. So we're going to undo the 2 screws either side and start to remove this, this chute. So there's just a little wire here on this side. You can just move that out of the way. That's not a problem. I need my glasses, I can't see. And if you just start to wiggle that spout, you'll realize that you'll just get to the point where those screws are going to come off. There we go. And gently bring it out. So both those screws have come out with it and they haven't dropped inside. So that's my little tip for you. Now, these 2 screws, you just want to pop them out the way for now. And there's 2 wires connected which won't disconnect, so just leave them there. If you want to, you can bring it out a little bit longer to give yourself a little bit more space, and we'll tuck those back in just a little bit. So I'll just pop that out the way. Now if you come in close and have a look, you can see there's actually a bit of built up coffee there on the other side of this little flap here essentially. Now they're see-through, they're clear, so you might not be able to see them. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to give it a quick little vacuum. Alright, if you come in real close, you'll start to see that there is some build-up happening around this little flap. Now, every bit of coffee passes through this flap. And if you're the person that's going to have your chute and jam this up there, you're actually going to damage this flap. And that's what happens. Once you damage the flap, the coffee will always back up, and until you do this, you're never going to get yourself out of trouble. Now, these 2 little plastic flaps, they come off pretty easily, and they've got little holes in them, so if you just give them a little bit of a pick off on the side there, there's 2 of them, okay? So now there is one that is a square and one that has a square cutout, essentially. So one big hole, one not hole. So the hole that is full goes in first when we're popping it back in, and the flap goes to the outside or the final part of the grind. So these are what you're going to damage. You're not going to damage that one because it's straight through, but this one here could be on a crazy angle or absolutely stuffed up. So you need to give these a bit of a clean, and you'll note that there is a curve cut out on this side and square on the other. On the other one, it's the opposite. So you've got a curve and a cutout. Okay, so when they go back together, essentially you've got a curve and a cutout on either side. So that's a little tip there to remember. If not, just go back and see in the video where I've basically pulled it apart. Now we want to give this another vacuum up, get that mess out. Alright, so super clean now, and it's time to put it back together. Now if you had a metal one, the metal one is what ends up on the last part of the grind going through, so it's on the outside. So we're going to pop in our square first, and I think actually the newer model has like a star rather than a square, but basically the one that has the flap or the full window on it, that is the last one where the grind has to come out. I'm going to pop this in. They sit on there pretty nice. So I've got my curve on this side, and then this curve I'm going to pop onto the other side. So now I've got two on there. That's pretty simple and easy. Make sure we clean up our chute. There are a couple of little pins in here which are on here. These must be like an anti-static sort of device, so just give them a little bit of a brush gently from this side. There we go. And now we're going to pop this back on. So I'm just going to tuck these wires back where they came from, up onto this top corner. Cool. Then I'll tuck in the spout. And because those screws are still in there, it's really easy to screw these back in. If you're trying to have the screw on the end of your screwdriver and then line it up, you're going to get yourself in a world of hurt. So I highly recommend doing it this way. So we're just going to find where one of the screws locates first. There it is. And then we're going to come across into the other one. Whoop, bit of a slip. Ooh, I've trapped the wire actually just under that, so I'm just going to fix that one up. So make sure you're not going to clamp on that extra white wire there. That's definitely got to be poked up and out the way. So don't clamp down one screw all the way, just allow yourself to get that second screw aligned nicely. And once you've got them both in, then you can tighten them up. They don't need to be crazy tight, just firm till they stop. Brilliant. We've got our chute here. Essentially this is the cover plate, so we're going to pop that back on. Tuck it in from the top there first. Actually no, pop it in from the bottom here. There's two little notches underneath, so pop those under, and then it'll just click into place like that. You can grab the little flathead. I did just do that, didn't I? Got it. Pop this screw in. Now it's time to put the two grub screws back in using that Allen key. So pop it onto your Allen key like so, and just screw it down. One either side. And they don't need to be too tight. Just once they stop, just give them that little tweak and you're pretty good. Cool. So we'll pop those out of the way. So remember, this is the brush that you don't want to go all the way through when you're cleaning that chute. So it's only going to stop, and you can see from this side, you could use it in between the burrs, so don't jam it all the way up, otherwise you're going to have to repeat that whole process again. So it's a friend, but it can be a foe if you get this really wrong. Now, when you're going to pop this back on, again, if you've removed the little indicator, that's fine. You can put the, actually I'm going to show you. I'm going to pull this off, so in case you do it either way, you'll know what's going on. I'm just going to take that grub screw out and that little indicator mark, because there is one point when I'm going to put this back together that I want to make sure we get clear and you don't get messed up. So you can see how easily that they remove right now. Now, on the bottom here, there are these three basically lugs. Now those lugs have to go into these individual black inserts. If you get this wrong, essentially that indicator is going to be offset and you're not going to be able to realign yourself. So make sure that you see the screw on the front here, or the hole, that's where that indicator screws into. Pop that at the front, okay, and you're never going to get yourself in trouble now. So we can grab our collar, pop it on top, and we're going to go finer. So essentially it's rotating this way. Now it's a very fine thread, don't stuff this up. So if you're not sure about doing threads, if you go the opposite way first, so if you actually go coarser, you can feel where it just notches a little bit, where that thread essentially drops off the ledge where it's about to start, and then you can go back the other way and just lightly, gently pushing down at the same pressure, you'll catch that thread and you'll be able to wind it back on. So before that gets too tight all the way down, I'm just going to pop on our little indicator, because we want to make sure that we're going to get to the 0 point of the grinder, which is where the burrs actually touch each other. So I'm just going to pop that in and do that up. Now every single DF54 has a different 0 point, and you might have an older model or a new model, but essentially it's not 0. I can tell you that. Basically this sticker doesn't always fit in the right spot, and there's tolerances between different burrs essentially, or manufacturing, that's going to be different. So don't freak out that your 0 point isn't on 0. It's pretty standard. So we're going to keep going as fine as we possibly can, and it's going to stop. It's going to get a bit firm. Okay, there we go. So I'm firm, and it's actually just past the 0 point. Now, if I was to turn that on, you would definitely hear those burrs chirping each other. And that's a term that we use when the burrs just start to touch each other. So I'm going to go back to coarse setting of 20. And that's usually where the grinder is when we sell it to you from, we bench test everything, and we always put it at 20 because we don't want to be super fine. You can now work your way towards an espresso grind being around 15. I reckon that's going to be about it. Maybe 13 to 15, depending dark roast or light roast, but that's where it needs to be for this grinder. So that's zeroing out the grinder. Just as a little test, let's plug it in for a second. So before you pop everything else back on, we can turn the grinder on. You can hear it's running, it's no blockages, there's no noise. So if I go finer, there you go. So that's just happening at about 3 for me. So that is way too fine for any espresso grind. So come back to 20 and try and dial in from there, and you'll start heading to be finer. So it's always best to get an extraction, get it flowing before you do anything, then head finer. Don't go fine and try and get coarse. You're going to block up your grinder straight away. So all that's left to do is pop on your anti-popcorning device, pop on your rubber for your bellows, timber top, and you're ready to go. So if you've done that process and you have broken that anti-clumping device, essentially you've lost the flap or it's bent and you can't repair it, just reach out to wherever you bought the grinder from. You can certainly get them. If you're in Australia, we do have those as spare parts as well. But essentially, look, that is the most common thing we find about the DF54. People are way too fine, they keep blocking it up, and they don't understand how to fully clean that out. Because that is a window, they kind of think that's the light coming through and they can see what's going on, but essentially that flap can be a little bit damaged or blocked up. So the next time you use it, it's just gonna basically block up straight away. Anyway, I hope that's helped you understand a bit more about your DF54. Hope that's helped you look after your DF54 and get yourself out of trouble. If you've got any other questions, hey, pop down below. We'll start a bit of conversation around the DF54. What are you liking? What do you find the settings are best? Is there anything you've done with your grinder that you think everyone else should know about? Anyway, thanks very much for watching. We'll catch you next time. Cheers.